know you mentioned entrepreneurs, and one thing that you do mention in your book is how some of the most successful people you know are either entrepreneurs or have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurs these days, I mean, that word is so hot, it's such a big buzzword, but I think it is so because I think everyone feels in some ways that they are an entrepreneur or they want to be an entrepreneur. And we tend to right now turn them into celebrities, right? Entrepreneurs are celebrities these days, particularly those coming out of Silicon Valley. But when I was talking about that in the book, it's really people who are entrepreneurs who are actually starting their own companies, or people who are inside companies who are basically entrepreneurs, right? Like they're always looking at like what new project can they pitch, what new way can they, innovative way that they can do their job differently or help their bosses do it differently, and like how can they shine within their own company. And it's just that entrepreneurial mindset, which I best can describe is a way that Sam Zell described it to me, which is in the book. He was like, the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who walks by a man paint on a ladder, painting the wall. And he said most people will just look at that and say, okay, the guy can either paint to the right or he can paint to the left. And an entrepreneur will walk by this person and think, well, why can't the person have two brushes and paint both sides? So, it's always someone who's thinking, how can I do something that everyone takes as conventional wisdom and do it a little bit differently? And that's really the definition of an entrepreneur.
Sure. Now, can you demonstrate a case study to kind of give us an example of this?
To me, every CEO that I've talked to, I think, has an entrepreneurial mindset. So, in my mind, they're all kind of like entrepreneurs in their own way, whether or not they actually started the company that they're now the head of, or they rose up within the ranks. So they all have this idea of being an entrepreneur. I mean, who's the most famous entrepreneur right now? It's Elon Musk, right? So he's a classic case of someone who just looks at something and says, that's the stupidest way that you could do it. I have an even better way, and if you don't believe me, I'll just go and build it. And he just does. It's whether it's building the best electric car out there, or building the cheapest rocket, reusable rocket out there. I remember he said to me, like, we're building rockets at like 10 times the cost that they need to be. And the reason why is not because we can't build it that way. It's just because of the system, and just how people are building these things just because that's the way they've always built them, not understanding that the root cause of it is a lot of waste and a lot of bureaucratic waste. And same thing with like the Hyperloop, how do I make that? So he's just a classic case of someone who just looks at something and says, conventional wisdom is the enemy of entrepreneurialism, or is the enemy of innovation, and and he's going to go and change it.